Okay, so we'll go ahead and get started. Nothing really breaking, no new news, really no new guidance, just maybe a little bit of clarification. And we did have gotten some other things out. So I just want to remind everyone that for Summer Food Service Program, SFSP, which is the program that Dee oversees, we want to remind everybody that there are no waivers for summer feeding at this point. I'm not anticipating any. I'm not hearing of any. I'm not really even hearing USDA talk that they think it's a possibility. Will I say it's won't happen? No, I'm not going to say that, but it's definitely, we're inching closer. Like I said, we're just getting ready for spring break. So summer feeding will be here before we know it. But as of right now, on today's call, there are no waivers for Summer Food Service Program in 22, this coming summer. The sites need to meet the 50% free and reduced eligibility requirement, or maybe census. So there are some very rare instances where you don't meet the 50% free and reduced requirement, but when we go to the census map, that site qualifies. And so Dee works with you all on that. And so I know she's working, and Edgar helps a little bit with that, and Jennifer Pryor can help a little bit with that as well. So like in the last 2 summers, there really haven't been an area eligibility, but this year there is. We have to follow those requirements this year. And as a reminder, since there are no waivers for Summer Food Service Program, the meals must be consumed on site. Only 1 meal may be given at a time, and there is no option for parent pickup at this time either. So as hard as it is to remember back to summer of 19, because that was the last normal summer we had, that's what we're going back to. That's what the trainings have dealt with, that Dee has done, and that's what we're going with. So, okay, next slide, please. So then I kind of broke out a couple of these slides because it was a lot of information on one, and I think there was a little bit of confusing information. So as far as the rest of this school year and SSO potentially going into the summer months. So as you all know, the current waivers that we're operating under for SSO end on June 30th. And again, this is only for SSO, not SFSP. Participating SSO sites within the districts must meet the 50% free and reduced requirement or be located in an attendance area that qualifies. Otherwise, your SSO program does have to end on your last day of school. Census can be used for SSO, so the same thing applies for SFSP. There might be some instances, they're probably pretty rare, that you might be able to do census through SSO and feed through June 30th with the flexibilities. But if it doesn't, you have to stop at the end of your school year. And again, only 2 meals may be served and claimed through SSO, and it can be any combination, but not lunch and supper together. That's been the case this entire time. Okay, next. And as a reminder, CACFP at risk, if you're doing that, also known as the supper meal, also known as the third meal, must stop on your last day of school. It cannot go any further than that, especially into June. CACFP must stop on your last day of school. Okay, next. Okay, we currently have nothing for next school year right now, nothing. Again, not hearing anything. Not really getting a vibe from USDA that there's some changes coming or even options for anything. So again, for going forward into next school year, starting in August, you need to plan on normal national school lunch, school breakfast. So, okay. Several people have asked why we haven't paid state match yet. And we are very, very, very close to paying it. And I'll kind of explain in here what happened. State match is based on the prior school year. So in this case, school year 2021, national school lunch counts. Keep in mind, we didn't operate national school lunch in school year 2021, but we are allowed to pay based on summer feeding counts and SSO lunch counts for last year because those were the programs we were operating. Therein lies why were behind in paying state match. The CARS system has a report set up to pull national school lunch counts for us, those roughly in January and in May when we normally pay. But when we went in to do that this year, there's no national school lunch counts because we didn't do national school lunch last year. So our IT group, individuals, employees have been working to get all the SFSP counts and all the lunch SSO counts, and they're creating a report for us to be able to pay. That's what's taking longer. Again, as we've said many times during this COVID, the systems weren't set up to operate this way. Well, state match is one of them. So last school year. So you are going to get your state match money. I believe we'll pay in the next 2 weeks. That we're close, and maybe even sooner than that, but that's what we're shooting for because of the workaround that had to be done in the systems. While SSO lunch counts are in CARS, they're not under the proper area. Where SFSP, if you did SFSP last school year, they're in a whole nother system. So we've had to deal with that. So that's what is going on with state match. We'll be out very soon. Okay, as a reminder, I think last call 2 weeks ago, we had had a webinar at the state agency level discussing a few meal pattern changes for next school year. And then after that call, I believe they had one for you guys, the school food authorities, and then they had one for industry manufacturers. So just as a reminder, and there's a new memo that came out with some Q&A on these topics, and we are going to get that posted to CARS. It has not been posted, but we will get it posted to CARS this afternoon or tomorrow. But as a reminder, I've got a tickle in my throat. I'm so sorry. 1% flavored milk may be served in school year 22-23. Flavored fat-free is still allowed, but you still can do the 1%. It does require that an unflavored 1% or fat-free be offered at each NSLP and SBP meal service as well. So you can do 1% chocolate and you could do 1% white, and that's fine. You can still do fat-free chocolate and fat-free white, that's fine too, but you have that option. And then as a reminder, 1% flavored is also going to be allowed to be able to be sold for your Smart Snack a la carte. And you could serve it in special milk. I believe we have 3 districts that still do special milk. And then it will also be allowed in the CACFP for a 1% flavored for CACFP ages 6 and up. Okay. And then with sodium, you will be maintaining target 1 for national school lunch and school breakfast for school year 22-23. And that becomes effective July 1 of 22, which that is technically the start of the next school year. Even though you don't start till August, they consider July 1 the new school year. You will then implement the interim target 1A for the national school lunch program in 23-24. And that is a decrease from the target 1 by 10%. That's why it's a 1A. And that becomes effective next July of 23. And then you continue to maintain target 1 for school breakfast in 23-24. So again, this will be incorporated into all of our trainings going forward. So you all will be aware. We'll update our manuals and such. But again, just bringing it to your attention. And then as a reminder for the whole grain for next school year, rather than 100% of your grains offered must be whole grain rich, it is now 80% of your grains offered must be whole grain rich. The remaining grains must be enriched. This provides flexibility for program operators to offer enriched grains when whole grain rich items are unavailable or when the whole grain rich item is not acceptable by students. So that was their solution for that. I can tell you there's a couple emails that are going to go out. One of them is you can still make comments to these 3, what they're calling final rule, but they're going to allow comments after the fact, which is not normal. But I can tell you they do take comments into consideration. There's a process to do it, but I would advise you to do it if you're not happy with what you're hearing, specifically maybe with the whole grain or the sodium. I think you guys are probably fine with the milk, but I think there's going to be some continued issues with the whole grain. I know I watched the webinar for these meal patterns that they did for the school districts, and there were a lot of comments about what you're hearing from your manufacturers as far as most likely whole grain products and the supply chain issues will be an issue next school year. I think that in this comment period, that needs to be brought to their attention. Again, there is an email that's going to go out with how you can make comment on these final milk, sodium, and whole grain meal pattern information, and it'll be in an email. So look for that. And then the other email that's going to go out is going to be regarding some information USDA wants us to gather as a state so that we can discuss with them on Thursday. So it's a little short turnaround. We didn't get much notice either, but I would like any feedback you can offer. And so that will be going out as well. These will be emails through CARS, through our system. So just want you to be aware of that. Okay, the next item that has gone out, I believe, since our last call. Yes, because I think our last call was February 14th. So we sent the 3-month operating balance letters out. Becky Gray emailed them out the week of February 21st. We have received a lot of calls on that, wanting to know where we got our amounts and where's this and where's that. We don't just make those up. Those are coming from what was reported to OCAS through your normal OCAS reporting. So they generate a report and give it to us, and that's where we get that. There is one thing that's being looked into right now, and I'm not going to elaborate on it too much, but we are having them regenerate something with a report, because the first report we got did not include 766, which is summer feeding, and some of you all were operating summer feeding. And so that could make a little bit of difference, but there'll be more to come on that. You do need to get Becky Gray the information she needs as to how you're going to spend it, and then the monies need to be spent by June 30th, and it can be spent on allowable CN expenses such as labor if you're not a management company school, food, and equipment. And I've been getting lots of requests for equipment and such. We are also having just a real basic Q&A on Thursday. We had to move it to Thursday. It was going to be Wednesday. It's Thursday at 2 o'clock to answer questions regarding this topic and have discussion. So that, I believe that email, if you had already registered, the email was updated and sent to you all today, reflecting that change from Wednesday to Thursday. I apologize for that. That was a scheduling conflict due to me. And something that I have to attend in the agency on Wednesday at 1:30 that I was not on my calendar when we made the decision to do that call, and then it was added and I have to be at this other meeting. And so we are moving it to Thursday at 2. Okay, next one. Supply chain assistance funds. I've been talking about this for a little over a month probably, and again, it's just additional money for you all to be able to get food. Even though you're struggling to get food, they threw some money at it for you to try and get food. Those letters are going out today. Now, some of you are probably thinking, wait, I already got a letter. Well, there was an error, and we caught it after counties 01 through 33 had gone out in the mail, unfortunately, before we caught it. And what had happened, and an email went out about this, and I know we send a lot of emails, but that's our best and easiest way to communicate with you all. So what happened with that was, when we were doing the letters and mailing them, actually putting them and putting labels, we had some extra labels, and so the person doing the mail out handed them to me, and she's like, why? I don't have letters for these labels. And so as I'm looking at them, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, we left out our residential child care institutions. And so they weren't included on that. Well, they're entitled to those funds per the guidance we have from USDA. So we had to pull back. We didn't mail out counties 34 through 77. And those will go out today. Again, we sent an email letting you all know that. So the amounts that were originally figured and sent for the counties that did go out did drop some. It's not drastic, but clearly it was a drop. And so just so you know that, if you are not a county 01 to 33, so your county district code for your districts 01 to 33, those letters went out and we caught our error. Anybody from county district code 34 to 77 has not received a letter yet. They went out today. We had to completely redo them. So again, just to follow up on this, the required attestation statement. Oh, I didn't update that one, but the letters were mailed today. I should have taken that first bullet point out. I apologize. Letters were mailed today. We need the attestation statement back by the 14th. If you're a couple days late, that's going to be okay, but we are going to make our first round of payments on the week of March 21st. And that payment will be deposited into the same account, which was your state aid account, as your emergency operation funds was deposited into. So just so you know that the letter has more information in it as well. Every letter was basically the same except for the amount. So we had to do a letter for each district because of that amount varied by district. So again, those went out, corrected letters, and the rest of the letters went out will go out in the mail today. So tomorrow and the rest of the week, you'll start receiving them. Okay, next. And again, minimally processed foods is what that can be spent on. And I guess I'll go ahead and address, I've had several calls about this too. Sorry, Kendra. I'll go ahead and address management company schools. This is not additional money for the management company. This is money for the district. But what you're allowed to do to spend that money if you contract with a food service management company is, we are recommending that you use this to pay your milk invoices. Milk is the most minimally processed item you all probably serve, and you have to buy it. It's a requirement of the program. So I'm going to use round numbers here. Let's say District A, we'll just call it SFA, I don't know, received $20,000 in supply chain assistance funds. And they use it to buy their milk. And each month, their milk invoice is $5,000. So for 4 months, they will pay their milk invoice using their supply chain money to add up to that $20,000. Now, that's a self-op school that can do that. If you're a food service management company school, the management company will invoice you as normal. Nothing will change with that process. But they will need to provide you ideally with a milk invoice saying, okay, this month we spent, and I'm again using round numbers, $10,000 on milk. So you can use $10,000 of your $20,000 supply chain money to cover that, to pay, that would be used to pay that invoice. That is not additional money to the management company. I do realize that management companies are taking on additional cost because of food. I understand that. I have to believe USDA does, but they chose to handle this way. And this is what we have to do. I have heard from some management companies that think they should get the money, and that's not how the guidance was written. And I can't do anything about that. Okay. I do see something in the chat. I normally don't go to the chat until the end, but as far as a code for supply chain, it is in the letter. The project code is in the letter of the supply chain, and I'm just drawing a blank on it right now. I've been through a lot the last week, so I apologize. Anyway, I'm not going to go there, but it is in the letter. I'm just drawing a blank on what it was. Again, as a refresher for anyone that needs to purchase equipment, if it's over $5,000 per item and it is not on our pre-approved page of equipment, which is P8 of the Child Nutrition Manual, I do have to give approval for that. There are certain things that USDA won't allow. Most of it they can. Capital expenditures being one of them, and this is going to be discussed a little bit on the call on Thursday regarding the 3-month operating. So capital expenditures are are like major improvements to your building type stuff. Can't buy land, can't buy buildings, can't move walls, or new construction and things like that. Most everything else is pretty allowable within reason, but there are certain things that I do have to give the okay on. And I kind of got off track here. If it's not on the list, I do have to approve it. If the item is being used exclusively for child nutrition, then child nutrition funds can cover the full cost of that. If it's something that might be prorated among other programs or shared among other programs, that cost must be prorated, much like using the indirect cost rate that the OCAS provides you all. So that is, and then you do have to follow proper procurement. So you need to get 2 or more quotes for the item. Lowest quote wins unless you have reason to not, but I have to have the justification as to why you wouldn't use the lower quote or bid that you received. And is there, I think there's another slide on this, Kendra? Yeah, upcoming, no, was it, did we skip one?
No, I'm not showing another one on there.
Okay, okay, no problem. Okay, so the next slide is regarding some upcoming trainings that we've got. So just to remind you all, we do have just kind of a Q&A back and forth discussion, answering questions in the chat regarding 3-month operating, and that got changed to this Thursday at 2 because I did have a scheduling conflict come up after we had scheduled the other. We're going to have several other trainings: CACFP pre-K meal pattern training, food buying guide. We're going to have one that we had done prior to COVID that was pretty popular, explaining what the different provisions are: CEP, provision 2, 3, etc. So we'll be doing that. There'll be a training on the after school snack program. And then our last summer food service training will be March 10th. So if you're thinking about doing summer feeding, it's time to get your training in. And then we are moving to a monthly COVID call unless something, you know, very urgent popped up and I needed to make you all aware. We would schedule one, but we are, based on the last call, you all thought it would be nice to continue a monthly call. So we're going to do that. And that next one will be the 11th at 1:30. And then really no updates with PEBT. I did hear that the corrections system is very close to being completed. And then they'll wrap the training up that we're going to do to train how to make those corrections. And the reason the training's not quite done is because we need the people developing the training need screenshots of the system to be able to put in the training to discuss. So that is kind of where we are with that. So there'll be definitely more to come on that. Okay, questions. Okay, so now we're going to go to the chat. I'm going to scroll. Give me just a second to get caught up. Excuse me. Okay, Edgar did put in the chat the link for Census based on where you're located if you don't meet the 50% for SSO and or summer feeding. And as a reminder, he put in the notes blue. If it comes up blue, that means you're not eligible, and pink means you are. And again, we can help with that. So yes, you. The Q&A is for 3-month operating. No, stop, delete, go back. Sorry, the Q&A on Thursday is for 3-month operating. The letter you're getting is for supply chain assistance. There's a lot going on right now, and I understand, I get it. So I would not wait. Oh, but you're also talking about, did you not get a 3-month operating letter yet, Corinne? You might have even been referring to that. So, okay, I'll come back to that. And Kendra answered that. Sorry, yes, you can. If we didn't get a letter on carryover, does that mean us? Yes, I believe you can probably take it as that. We are, like I said at the beginning of the call, having them run something, adding 766 into it. So there could be some changes based on that, but we're waiting on that information. Okay. Yeah, you would get a letter if you exceeded your 3-month operating. Pam, if a letter was sent to more, no one has it. Okay, I'll have to, I can check the report, Pam. I'm just going to make a note so I don't forget. Okay, got that. Hold on, sorry, my chat jumped. Lindsay hasn't received anything yet. Is that correct? For then most likely it would have been an email. The 3-month operating balance letters went out via email from Becky Gray. Just FYI on that, if I didn't say that earlier. Oh, sorry, my writing utensil isn't working. Not sure what happened. Okay. And then jumped again, planned on it. Okay. The registration link, Kendra can probably put that in the chat, or we will plan on sending it out again through CARS regarding the Q&A for 3-month operating. And let's see, the next one would be, yep, that, I think someone put that further down in the letter or in the chat, but the project code for the supply chain assistance funds will be in the letter. If your school district is doing ESY in June, what is ESY? I don't know what ESY is. I'm sorry, Pam. In June, can you continue to operate under SSO and the waivers? Well, it all depends on if you qualify to stay on SSO. You have to meet the free and reduced or be in an area eligible. If you don't meet the 50% free and reduced, you have to be in an area eligible based on census. So there's a couple things to that, Pam. Edgar said he believes it is 759, and guess what? It is 759 for supply chain assistance. It is 759. The next one says, can we buy a new convection oven if it is over 5,000? I don't know off the top of my head if convection ovens are on that P8 list. I think they are. But check the Child Nutrition Manual, page P8. It's the procurement section, page 8. And see if convection ovens are on that. But I believe they are. If the school is planning a new build in the summer of 23, may I ask in my letter to have it continue to carry over? You can, because you might need to use it for equipment, and that would be acceptable, because you can equip that building with those funds. So let's see, are they reviewing and approving items sent in for the 3-month operating balance as they come in? Yeah, as Becky gets stuff, if it needs my approval, she's been sending it to me. You could send it to me ahead of time and I can approve it, and then you can send it, but whatever you want to do, whatever works. She does get me the information. SSO eligibility again, if we are on SSO now, are we good? You need to check and see if your current sites meet the 50% free and reduced based on the current year low income report. If they do not, you could try Census. If Census still does not qualify you, then you would have to, you're not eligible. And again, it's by site. What information do we have to send back by March 14th? The supply chain assistance letter, attestation statement is what we have coming back by the 14th. Let's see. Okay, sorry if this question's been asked, but on the supply chain assistance, when will the money be deposited into the, it's going to be sometime the week of March 21st is when it will be deposited. The supply chain money is only for food. minimally processed food, no labor, no equipment, only minimally processed food. And in the letter, it does have, and I've mentioned on this call before, it's been a little bit, but minimally processed, think fruits and vegetables, canned fruits and vegetables, not processed food, not chicken nuggets, not corn dogs. I'm just throwing a few out there as I kind of come to them or think of them. So yes, you can use your supply chain assistance to pay for milk. And USDA even gave milk as the most unprocessed item, minimally processed item to use for these funds. That's one that they give. Everybody is buying milk for National School Lunch, School Breakfast. So that's why I brought that up. They used it as an example, and that's just the example that we've used too. Sorry, the chat has dropped. Where was I? Hold on. Boy, it jumped big time. Okay, got that one, got that one, got that one. You will get a letter probably tomorrow or the next day. Carnegie Schools, I believe is who that said. They are going out today. This recording does get put on cars, yes. Okay, if you didn't receive an email from Becky, it probably is because you didn't exceed your 3-month operating. You would have received an email. And okay, extended school year, thank you. I kind of figured it had something to do with that. Again, if your site qualifies based on the qualifications for summer, you can do, you'll be able to do your SSO until that ends. Yes, the site needs to be 50% free and reduced. If it's not 50% free and reduced based on the current year's low income report, then you could try to qualify on Census as well. And Edgar put the Census, the link for the map to determine that above in the chat. And we could get that sent out as well. Let me make a note of that. Okay. Oh. Our school is required to have summer school because of the ESSER funds. Again, your sites have to qualify for the program. This is nothing new. The sites have to qualify. Now, granted, it's new because COVID flexibilities are gone, but non-COVID, the sites always have to meet 50% free and reduced or area eligibility through the census. They're not just giving you area eligibility this year like they've done the last 2 years.
The waivers are only good till June 30th, correct? If they qualify. And the waivers are only good till June 30th if they qualify.
Correct. That is correct. The waivers, if you qualify for non-congregate, parent pickup, and giving more than one meal at a time, only are good until June 30th if your site qualifies. Okay, and then when can we start our applications for the summer program? You'll need to, they're going on right now. You need to reach out to D. Houston about that. Oh, sorry, it jumped again. Someone messaged me regarding why they would have to qualify based on 50% by site free and reduced when the waivers don't expire till June 30th, because the area eligibility waiver does expire the last day of school. That's why. On the SCA, do you have the guidelines? It's mentioned in the letter that you'll get. It's talked about in there. And I'm trying to think if we had sent that out already. I can't, I'd sent it to someone. I'm going to make a note of that too. Okay, to follow up on a few of these things. Okay. USDA did not put a time frame on the SCA monies, so it will be carried until it's gone. But you, again, use it on minimally processed food. I would use it as as quickly as you can, but there's no time frame to it. Okay, okay, did that one. Okay, Dee's email was put into the chat regarding questions for summer feeding. Okay, got that. They're posted on cars. The slides are, just like we've been doing all the time, or the whole time during COVID with these calls. Carnegie is 33. Yes, a revised letter is being sent out today. Yes, you will get a revised letter. Edgar did put in the chat again the link for the census map that we can use, that USDA, it's a USDA map. Oh, it's not showing in your chat. Okay, we need to probably email that link out. Okay, we'll get that out too. The email that Edgar has put in the chat is to determine if your site doesn't qualify for SSO or SFSP based on 50% free and reduced. That is a link to a map where you can enter your address to determine if you qualify by area eligibility and census. Sometimes there's instances where you don't qualify 50% free and reduced, but yet based on the area and the census map, you could qualify. Sometimes, it's not all the time, but sometimes. No, you do not have to change to summer feeding if you don't want to. If you want to stay on SSO and you qualify based on the 50% site requirements, you can stay on SSO. That is your choice. Okay, as far as CEP and SSO, oh, I read that, my mind just is going blank. It is, so sorry, I'm just drawing a blank. Let me think about that. Let me make a note here. No, CEP and SSO. There is I'm just drawing a complete blank, and I'm afraid if I say what, I'm sorry. Let me check on that. Okay, I think Dee answered that for us. I just saw something pop up because my chat jumped. Let's see. I got it. Jerry, you may stay on SSO if your program closes on June 30th, but okay. So Dee's answering the one regarding the CEP, individual site eligible percentages. Yes. You may stay on SSO if your program closes on June 30th, but each site must be 50% or more free and reduced. What district is that? J.E. Mosley. Can you tell me, please? Hartshorn. Okay, thank you. All right. Okay. I think I'm at the end. Anything else? There's a lot going on right now. It's a very busy time. So just to kind of follow up, we moved the Q&A for 3-month operating to Thursday at 2. We'll send that link out to re-register. We'll probably do that tomorrow. So Kendra will get that resent out tomorrow just in case. And then the updated supply chain assistance funds letters, because some were sent out with an incorrect amount, they are all being resent today. They're going in the mail today. And there is an attestation statement attached to that and an opt-in. You've got to agree to the attestation statement and then you opt in or you opt out. You're not required to take the funds. I don't believe we've had anybody deny them yet or decline them, but you don't have to. So be sure and read that so that you know you've got to follow what you need to get that. The amount will also be in the letter. The last summer food service training is this Thursday. So keep that in mind also. If you're wanting to do summer food service program, you need to attend the training on Thursday. And those are the most pressing things at this point. So do you all have anything else? Questions that you would like to put in the chat? Our next call like this, unless something very pressing comes up, is on April 11th is the next call for this. We're going to move to a monthly call. But if something was to come up, if we got guidance or anything that you all needed to know about, we would schedule one and get it done so that we can get you all the information as quickly as possible. We do, again, I mentioned earlier, we do send a lot of emails out through CARS, so be on the lookout for things. Be on the lookout for emails. We're going to re-email since some of you didn't get the email in the chat, the link for the census mapper. We will get that emailed out because we want you all to be able to have that. And then, oh wait, I think I've got a couple questions that popped up. If offices are closed after Thursday and letter is not received before then, just get it in as soon as you get it. Get it in as absolutely as soon as you can get it in. There's a fax number on the letter, or there's a direct email to Laura Meisner, who's tracking these for us. She's our finance lady, my director of finance, and she's tracking the letter, the attestation statement letter. So you can email them to her, or you can fax it, and our fax is on the form, the attestation statement. Okay, anything else? Anything else? Last chance. So we will plan on talking again on April 11th, unless I get something that you all need to be aware of, like guidance for next year or anything changing. Maybe I'm not expecting anything, but even anything coming out, maybe that would affect summer feeding in some way, shape, or form. But at this point, I'm not expecting it. But as we've all learned over the last 2 years, never say never at this point. So you guys are on spring break next week, so you guys have a much deserved break coming to you, and I hope we have great weather for that. I haven't looked that far ahead. I just know the weather on Sunday was, or not Sunday, Saturday was phenomenal, and then, you know, the bottom out the next 2 days. So 'tis the time of year for Oklahoma weather. So that's all I've got. And if you guys need anything, we're here. Thank you for everything you continue to do. And we will talk very soon, April 11th, if not before. So have a great break and the rest of your week. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.